Hi friends, my name's Adrienne Amari and I'm a tarot reader. As you may or may not know, the tarot community has been running rampant with scam accounts as of late. It's gotten so bad that on Instagram there's a scammer alert page, @scammer_alert_page, just to notify people of fake, scam, copycat, and stolen content tarot accounts. That's pretty bad. What these scam accounts do is they'll either copy a well-established account or just steal content from different people and set up a new account, then slide in your DMs and try to convince you to buy a tarot reading from them. I can tell you, as somebody who has bought one of these tarot readings from these tarot readers, they are not even worth a penny. It's complete and utter crap. It is not tailored to you whatsoever. It's a copy and paste message, and then they'll tell you that there's a curse on you that they can lift for additional payment, of course. Now, I don't want you wasting your time, money, or effort because there are tons of great tarot readers out there. So here are some tips on how to spot a scam account. After I go through my tips, I'll share a couple of my scammer stories because I can't help but poke the bear and message these people. And this video was inspired by the scammer who the other day called me on Instagram FaceTime to try to convince me they weren't a scammer. And yeah, I recorded that conversation. But first, 5 tips on how to spot a scam account. Tip number 1, always look at the screen name. A lot of these scammers will copy a well-established account and just change something slightly in the name. So they'll add an extra letter, a number, underscore, or period. With letters, they often do I's, O's, and L's because those can sometimes be hard to tell if there's an extra one in there. When they scammed my account, they did Adrienne.Amari5, Adrienne Amari 5, and then they really changed it up and did Amari Adrienne. Now, when their accounts get deleted, they generally just make a new one with a slightly different iteration of the name yet again. It's really, really frustrating. So especially if you follow the original creator, just double check their account, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be that they created a backup or anything like that. It's just a scammer. Tip number 2, look at the profile and especially the profile picture. Now, the profile text, they usually copy and paste from someone else, and they don't make a lot of edits, and the edits they make aren't smart edits. So a lot of them, they'll say in the actual profile text, book a reading through my website, or will not DM you to book. Yet they'll still DM you to book. So that doesn't make any sense. What they did in my case is for my website URL, they put an extra backslash on the end, so if you clicked the link, it would go to an Air 404 page. I guess they were thinking people would be like, oh well, Air 404, guess I better book through DM then. Little weird, but that's what they do. Now for the profile picture, they don't usually have access to the original photo, so they take a screenshot, usually with the story ring around it, and try to crop it into their profile picture. But you'll see here, they're not always good at that. So if it looks like a weird half circle of a story circle, or if there's a full story circle and you click on the picture and it doesn't open to a story, that's probably a scam account. Tip number 3, look at the feed. So a lot of scam accounts will download a bunch of content from one person or a few people and then upload it all at once. So in the feed, you'll see a whole bunch of pictures posted one after another on the same day. Even though they might have a good number of followers, the posts will have little to zero engagement. So that's definitely a huge red flag. Look at the posts themselves as well. Does anything seem out of place or out of season? So definitely look for that. Now, using those 3 tips, let's take a look at a scammer account that followed me the other day. So good timing, scammer. Okay, so this one's called littarot_card_reader. Now, from the name, nothing too crazy here. I guess that could be a real person. If we look at the profile picture, pretty generic. They could have swiped that from anything. And then we have the profile text, again, kind of generic. This scammer, they've tried. They've done a good job. They've tried a little bit. Not hard, but they've tried. Now you can see in the profile text, one of the first words we see is ancestor. A lot of these scammers will, for some reason, talk about ancestors. I don't know if that's to like pull you in or something, but that for me is always a red flag. We can see here they have nearly 1,500 followers and they're following almost 4,800 accounts. So those are decent numbers. Now if we look at the pictures on the feed, the first one we see here was posted 5 days ago and it has 1 like. 1 like out of 1,500 followers is kind of insane. I'm also pretty sure that this picture isn't theirs. It looks like something from Twin Moon Tarot because she always uses those little hands. So I'm pretty sure that's something from her. Now if we keep scrolling down, oh look, posted 5 days ago, 5 days ago, keep going, 5 days ago. They were really busy 5 days ago posting pictures. And we can see there's little to no interaction on most or all of these posts. Now here we have a giveaway with 0 interaction on it, which is shocking. This is the Children of Letha deck, which is beautiful. It's by Zia Hunt, which you can see they've actually stolen her content. These are actually her photos. But there's a giveaway photo here with 0 engagement. Does that make any sense whatsoever? That was posted 5 days ago, and look, oh, the winners were announced the same day, yet there's no engagement on either post. So things like that are huge, huge, huge red flags. If we keep scrolling down, you'll see there's a Beltane post here. Again, posted 5 days ago, but that's in May, so that's a little weird. And if we keep going down a little bit more, their feed magically changes to something totally different. Now, there's nothing wrong with changing your aesthetic on Instagram. Like, of course, I'm not saying you can't change your aesthetic, but from like these beautiful photos to these photos, which are a completely different style, that's a bit of a stretch, especially with no kind of like gradual change there. Now, if we open the older looking photos, you can see here, these were posted October 26th, 22nd, 21, 21, and we get to a bunch of 21s. Again, very little interaction on these posts. If we go down to the very bottom, it looks like they started their account in September, so September 26th. Now let's go back to the top of their feed, and we'll see that since September 26th, they've posted 102 times. That's a lot of posts in just a couple months. So there are some things you can kind of look out for in the feed. So even if it's not super obvious based on the profile or the picture, the feed can give you a lot of good hints. I would be shocked if this wasn't a scam account, but at the very least, they're stealing someone else's content, which is really uncool. But let's get on to a couple more tips. Tip number 4, if they do get as far as sending you a message, look at the message itself. They're definitely suspect. So here's one example. I was instructed by the ancestors to message you because everyone has an ancestor that serve as guidance and you have to think. So first of all, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But why would my ancestor contact a random person to message me on the internet to give me a message? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Another kind of common message that they send first is, are you interested in a psychic reading? I take up a lot of energy from your picture and I would love to give you some insight and clarity. I have some good special going on. Let me know if you are interested. Now, when they messaged me this, my profile picture was a flower. So I don't know what kind of energy they can get from my picture. So again, these messages are really kind of weird, and no reputable reader will just message you out of the blue to try to convince you to buy a reading. That's just not how it works. So if you get any messages like that, I would delete and block. Tip number 5, look at the actual messages they're sending, their communication skills, and don't be afraid to ask questions. So a lot of the time, these scammers, they don't have the best communication skills, especially in English, because I'm pretty sure English is generally not their first language. So don't be afraid to ask them questions and see where the conversation leads you. If somebody can't communicate with you clearly in a basic conversation, why on earth would you want to buy a tarot reading from them? It makes no sense. If they can't communicate with you, what do you think you're going to get out of the reading? Now, any reputable tarot reader is happy to answer questions about their experience, about their method, about anything that has to do with the reading. These scammers are not happy if you ask a bunch of questions. Trust me, I know. So what they'll try to do is they'll tell you, oh, ignore that, or just trust me, I won't lie to you. So if they won't answer the questions, they're trying whatever they can to get around it or kind of just disregarding it, that's a huge red flag. No reputable reader would ever do that. Period. So I hope those tips help you spot a scam account, and just to recap, they are look at the screen name for anything fishy, look at the profile and profile picture for anything that stands out as kind of weird, take a look at the feed and see how the posts are doing, if there's engagement, if they're all posted in the same day, look at that first message they sent. Does anything stand out as a little bit weird there to you? And see how they communicate with you. Don't be afraid to ask questions because, again, a tarot reader is happy to answer questions about their practice. Now here are a few of my scammer stories. So back in March, like I said earlier, I had somebody copying my account. Now they kept changing the names, I would block them and they would make a new one over and over. It went on for about a week, week and a half, but then they had the either stupidity or audacity, I'm not sure which, to message me on my private account to try to get me to buy a reading from me. So I went with it because how could I not? So I was a little bit skeptical at first. I checked out their website and I asked them some questions. Now the answers they gave me were obviously nothing even similar to what was on my website. For example, I asked how long they had been reading tarot and they said for 20 years professionally. That means I would have been a child when I started reading. So I said to them, okay, so why does your website say 6 or 7 years? And they said, oh, ignore the website. All right, so I wrote it for no reason then, kind of weird, but okay. When I first asked them the pricing, they said $40. I got their Cash App tags, I think I got 2 or 3 of them, and I got their PayPal addresses. Now, as I was talking to them, asking them questions and things like that, the accounts would get deleted and they'd make a new one. And because I knew they were copying my account and keeping an eye on it, I just kept messaging them being like, oh, what's happening to your account? It's so weird, it keeps getting deleted. They told me it's Instagram deleting their account or getting deleted off their phone, so their account is disappearing. Okay. So eventually this went on, and I said, okay, fine, I'm gonna buy a reading from you. I'll send the money to PayPal. Originally it was $40, then magically it was $50, but whatever. Then the account got totally deleted. But hey, I had a PayPal address. So I sent them an email with a screenshot of my payment. By screenshot, I mean I made a fake one in Photoshop and sent it to them. Now they told me the reading would be 20 minutes. I waited and waited and waited. I didn't get a reading. So I emailed them and I said, hey, I haven't got my reading yet. You said it would be 20 minutes. They replied that the money didn't go through. So I pretended I was really bad at technology and I was like, oh, it's really weird. Let me try sending it again. But they gave me a different address to send it to. Now these scammers, they'll have numerous Cash App and numerous PayPal addresses. See if you're gonna message these people, see how many you can collect. From this scammer, I got 3 of each, which I later on reported to Cash App and PayPal. I don't think they did anything, but hey, the more we bring awareness to this, the more likely something might eventually be done. So I went back and forth a little bit. I kept asking for my reading. They kept telling me the payment hadn't come through. And eventually I confessed that I was Adrian Amari and I was the person they had been impersonating. Then they said to me, are you the only Adrian Amari? Thousands of people bear that name, Bozo. Bozo, come on. Anyways, I was laughing at that. After I finally got out of that, I said, yeah, there aren't thousands of people with my name and my face. Then they admitted that what they had done was wrong. They said, I agree to that. I apologize for the whole impersonation of a thing, but I'm real and my readings are real. Needless to say, I told them I had reported them to Cash App and PayPal and they never replied to me again. So that was the end of my impersonator. Since then, they actually have been impersonating my account, knock on wood. And I think maybe that's why, because I gave them a pretty big runaround. It was a long stretch, but it was worth it. Now, in terms of scammers, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna set up a fake Instagram account and I'm gonna see what happens. So I set up a fake account, I followed a bunch of different tarot readers and psychics, and I think within a couple hours, I had people messaging me, trying to get me to buy readings from them. And they were doing all the things we talked about in the tips. I just had crazy ones like, your ancestors are trying to contact you, and blah, 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 all that bull crap. Now, one of the readings I decided to go ahead with again, because I had my trusty old screenshot all worked out, and they asked me to send them my full name, my mother's name, my date of birth, and a full picture. That is an insane amount of personal information, which again, no reputable tarot reader would need all of that info to do a reading. Most don't even need your actual name, they just kind of connect to your energy, so they don't need that information. That was absolutely terrifying. So I sent them my full name, my date of birth, my mother's name, but I did not send a full profile picture. And by my information, I mean totally fake information that I made up. Then they did the reading for me. And it turns out that my problem is I have a spiritual limitation on my life and destiny, which was put on me by someone close to me out of envy and jealousy, and to make sure I can excel more than what I already am right now. I'm supposed to be much better than this. So I have to break the spell now. So I said, oh no, what do I do? Who cast the spell? And they said, someone close to you. So of course they're not giving answers hoping they'll be like, oh my gosh, is it so-and-so? So that they can say, yes, that's the person. So I said, okay, how do I break this spell? And of course it would cost me more money, $100 more. I said, I can't afford $100 more. So they wanted to know how much I could afford. We worked out $50. I sent another payment and they broke the curse. So the spell that they did, they sent a stock photo of 3 tarot cards and told me to pick a tarot card. I have no idea why you would pick a tarot card to break a spell, but okay, I went with it. And then the spell was broken. They told me, yes, it was all done. I felt like a weight was lifted. No, I didn't, because it's complete and utter bullshit, but yes. So that was my experience with that one. So that brings me to my favorite scammer story, the one that called me a couple days ago on Instagram FaceTime to convince me they were not a scammer. So this person was copying the Seeds of Shakti, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, her account. I follow her, she does amazing tarot spreads, so they were copying her account. I think they had made more than one account. I would block or remove or report them, but they kept like reappearing. So I just messaged them and I was like, dude, stop, like just stop. I was just so tired of it. And I know I can keep blocking, but I have this urge in me to poke, I can't help it. So I messaged them and I said, just stop. Then they decide to call me. So the first part of the conversation I didn't actually get because I was shocked, first of all. I was like, oh my gosh, why is someone calling me? And we had connectivity issues. So a lot was just being like, hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? So I said to them in the first part of the conversation, you're not the person who you're pretending to be. And this is what followed that. So from there we had this. Why do you want to convince me so bad that you're not a scammer?
I want to convince you because you are just calling me a scammer, that's why.
I actually never called you a scammer. You just told me that you weren't a scammer out of nowhere. I said that you're not the person in the profile picture that you're pretending to be.
That's why we call me a scammer.
I didn't call you a scammer, though.
Why did you call me a scammer?
I didn't.
I'm not a scammer.
Okay,
I'm
then,
not scamming.
well, turn your video on and prove to me that you're this person in the profile picture.
I'm the one. I can't lie to you.
So they told me numerous times they couldn't lie to me, and I kept saying, hey, this can be really easily resolved. Just turn your camera on and show me that you're this person in the profile picture. Which of course I knew they couldn't do. I'm also pretty sure that she doesn't sound like that. Well, if you want to show me you're not a scammer, just turn on your camera.
I'm with my ancestors, that's why I don't turn on my camera.
Well, leave your ancestors and turn on your camera.
You just need to trust me. When I do it for you, so
I don't need to trust you. You're using somebody else's profile photo as your own, so that just screams distrust.
I'm not using it, love. I can't.
I can see the profile photo and I know for a fact it's not you, so yeah.
I can never.
So they kept telling me they couldn't lie to me, they can't lie to me, they can't lie to me. They kept calling me love, which actually really pisses me off. I don't like it when people I don't know call me love, especially over and over. It's just one of my things. So I actually had asked them to stop and they never did that either. And they kept telling me they couldn't turn their camera on because they're with their ancestors. Then it got really noisy.
Can you see me now?
Where do you live? Is there a goat? Is your ancestor a goat?
Yeah.
So, as it turns out, their ancestor's a goat. It got super noisy. I also asked them if their ancestors were partying, and he's like, oh yeah. So, like, it just shows that they can't really communicate, because any question I asked, it was yeah, over and over. Then they started asking for money.
My sister is telling me that you don't trust me, that's why, love.
Yeah, you're right, I don't trust you, but trying to force me to send you money to trust you is not how trust works.
I'm not forcing you for the money.
Then why do you keep asking me for money?
Okay? I just want to let you to trust me, that's why I'm asking you for the money. So
their whole argument was, for me to trust them, I had to pay them. Didn't really understand how that worked out. They wanted $30. Then they said that they would also throw in $30 for a total of $60. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. because they had to go to the market to buy things for my reading. So after the phone call, that was kind of the end of the phone stuff, they kept messaging me being like, so are you gonna buy the reading? And I was like, no, like I don't trust you. And they keep saying, well, my ancestors tell me that you don't trust me, but you do have the money to pay me. And I was like, no. So eventually they blocked me. they stopped bothering with me and they blocked me. But like, that is so brazen. I can't even, like, can you imagine trying so hard to scam someone that you call them to convince them that you're not a scammer when you clearly are? So that was my experience with the scammer who called me. So just be really careful out there. Like I said, there are so many authentic, genuine, wonderful tarot readers out there that are happy to give you really good advice, read the cards honestly for you, tell you what they see, but these scam accounts are not them. No reputable reader is going to slide into your DMs. No one's going to beg you to buy a reading from them just because that's not how it works. No one's going to be like, oh, I'm getting this energy from you, or your ancestors told me this. Any actual tarot reader or psychic, they're just not going to go out of their way to try. It's so hard to get you to buy a reading. So please be super careful out there. If you do come across any scam accounts, let the original creator know if you know who it is. You can report it to the scammer alert page on Instagram, but always block and report, because the more we do that, hopefully they'll eventually give up. It seems to be getting worse, not better, but if we keep at it, all we can hope is they'll give up and we can win this long drawn out fight. So be careful out there, have a great day, and if you have anything you want to ask about or talk about relating to scammers in the comments, go for it. I can't wait to hear your stories.